And so on and so forth. Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is Card Dungeon, $8.99 on the Steam store. It came out this week. It is an RPG roguelike card game that it has a lot of similarities to Card Hunter in some ways, the free browser game. Now, this is a weird situation because it is a mobile port that it costs three times more than the mobile game. And the thing is that after playing it first and not being impressed by it, I played it a couple of times more, and okay, I'm seeing some of the good that can come out of the game, but again, one of the problems is the PC port itself. And that's where I need to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this is going to be more edited more than usual because of the fact that, again, part of the problem with games like these, especially mobile ports, is they don't do very well in terms of options. And in terms of the audio options, we'll get to that in a little bit. In particular, yeah. So what I'm choosing here are some traits. So every time you start a game, you choose two traits, a good trait and a bad trait. The good trait I chose was I randomly heal 5 HP at the start of a round. Bad trait is that I can only purchase once from the store. I've never really had to purchase from the store, nor had I had the goal to purchase from it. So it seems like a trait. They give you a little bit back of a story here. It's not too important to the gameplay in question. Now, those familiar with the Card Hunter video that I did may see some similarities. The paper-like nature of the enemy in question and yourself, being on a board with the typical board game, I don't know what to call those things, the stands. Now, the basic idea here is that you need to get to the end of the dungeon, and you do that by beating the mini-boss or boss of a dungeon and killing the creatures within it. Now, you have 3 cards you start off with. You start with a Flash of Steel, Heal, and Shock Blast. And I get some equipment here early on, which is good. That's basically going to buff me in some way. Less damage, able to do something special. And I get an extra card here. Now, the way the game works is that you have 3 cards. Right now, again, like I said, I started with Flash of Steel, which is attack 2, heal for 3, and then now I just got an upgraded Shock Blast. Each card has 3 specific elements to it. A attribute of what it's doing, so specifically this is 2 melee over in the Flash of Steel. In the mana portion, it is the cost of mana that it has. So right now I've got looks like, I want to say 23 mana. And so every time I need to cast Flash of Steel, it takes 3. So I'm going to try to engage these enemies. I missed with that one, that sucks. But I'm going to try to use my Shock Blast and Flash of Steel here as they're my aggressive cards in question. Now a mini boss appeared, and you have to find the mini boss in the dungeon to go on to the next level. So basically I got to kill this guy. Now he's a summoner. He's basically going to summon minions to do his job for him, but I'm going to basically Shock Blast him to death. One thing I do like about the game is the variety of the cards in question. Even early on, you start seeing a lot of different cards and different rarities of the card. Like, for example, I got a fine Quick Shock Blast, which is a more powerful version of the Shock Blast in question. It's inducing Stun, which is basically, well, like paralysis from Pokemon. All right, kill that guy. Now, you'll notice something with the card of the Flash of Steel, that it's starting to degrade. You see, the way the mechanics work in this one is that you can use a card up to a certain point. Once a card is basically used up, it'll start to rip, it'll start to tear, and then all of a sudden, you won't be able to use it anymore. I don't like the way they implemented it. The thing is that it's all visual. It's all based on what the card looks like. You really don't have an idea, or the game doesn't teach you, and I haven't noticed a pattern here, of when the card is actually going to get destroyed. That poses a problem because you're always wondering whether or not you're going to find the next attack item. Now, you'll notice that this creature that was there wasn't attacking me. Well, wildlife is there sort of to help you out, I guess, in terms of cards in question, because they won't attack you unless you attack them. The thing is that if you run out of cards, you're basically going to have to run around hoping that you find an attack card. And honestly, in this run, I had a lot of attack cards, but I found myself surprisingly had amount of attack cards that I wasn't expecting. You have to give up cards in this case. Like, for example, I would love to have my melee attack there, but the thing is that I don't know how long I could hold on to it. I do like the randomization element and the fact that you have to rely on the other cards in question. I just feel like could have been a better way of doing it in question. Now, I'm going to go around the dungeon and look for it. I do say the visuals are seemingly okay. I'm not a fan of it necessarily. I think there is this specifically the way the dungeon is and the way the artwork in terms of the actual player models feel like they're two separate aesthetics to me. Like, it feels like two separate worlds, and I don't understand why, per se. The music is eh. I mean, again, I don't expect much out of a mobile port. It's not exactly going to focus on audio. But I need to talk about the mobile portion of this in question. Again, like I said at the start of this Let's Try, the mobile portion... The mobile game right now is $3. This game is currently $8.99. Now, having a mobile port and maybe upgrading it in some ways can work. Depends on what you're looking for, but things like Out There Omega Edition, it added new features. It added a bunch of new content to it, as well as porting correctly over to the PC portion. This port in particular, I find problematic in several ways. First of all, I want to talk about specifically testing your code. So when starting up this game, and the reason why I'm doing this audio portion over instead of during in-game is the fact that the audio settings would never stay saved in question. Every time you started up the game, you'd have to reset the audio settings, and then if you went back to certain menus, they would reset again. And so I kept on going back to 100%, which was a problem in terms of me trying to find the right balance between the two. And while I could record with Audacity and change up the portions, I like the simplicity of like just recording over the audio and messing around with audio settings in the game. That's something that should be a problem in the test. That something should be easy to test, and it was broken. Also, like alt-tabbing out of the game when you're on the main menu would cause the menu text to disappear. Things like that, where it's obvious that they rushed the PC port and didn't do the testing in question. But not only that, the feature set. You have a keyboard here. You have a different control interface. In particular with the movement options, I would have loved to see the numpad used. I mean, it's perfect for this situation in terms of, I want to go up to the left. Okay, I'll hit 7. But they never did that. And what's a little bit irritating about that is the movement system in this game. You see, when an enemy is around you, or even not an enemy, but just wildlife, you have to move one space at a time. Now, that's annoying because especially if you're backtracking, it takes so long. You have to wait for the enemy to take their turn. I understand that you have to wait for the enemy to take their turn just in case, but I feel like if you implement an option, go here and just keep on simulating the turns until you get there, or something significant happens, like you find an enemy in your line of sight in terms of something that can attack you, or an aggressive enemy shows up. I just don't understand why I have to do that. Now the enemy's out of my line of sight, and so I can move more spaces at a time, although I don't understand why those specific spaces, they're sort of just scattered all over the place at that point, and I don't get why they did that. Now, variety I will give the game in terms of, again, the number of cards, the enemies, there seems to be a reasonable variety to start off with. It's not the greatest, that's for sure, but the attack cards in particular, the amount and the mechanics around them, they do work. Now, again, luck is going to play a huge part in this, because if you don't get the right combination of cards, you could end up being in real trouble. In particular, if you have cards that you have to be far away from people, or close up to people, and you can't seem to get close because of certain enemies, you can run into problems. And that can just be the luck of the draw at times. You could just keep on getting melee cards, for example. Now, I got lucky in this run. I got a bunch of cards that worked for me. Part of the fact that this run worked so well and other runs did not, I think is where I'm leaning towards maybe having a default attack, like maybe like a 1-point attack of some sort, because there's got to be a way to deal with that in some way. Again, in roguelikes, you want skill to still be the primary attribute in terms of a game's success. You don't want the player to feel like, I got so screwed because, you know, the dice roll went against me. There are games that, of course, have luck involved with them, but if you make the right choices, you generally want to feel like the player is actually making a huge difference in terms of that gameplay. Something like Darkest Night, which I played on stream with Tech Raptor a day ago, where, yeah, there was dice rolls, but our choices early on in the game made a huge difference in terms of us being able to survive, rather than just being completely based on luck. Now, of course, there is luck, and you're going to have situations where luck, you know, screws you over. That's fine. You see, this is where I want to rail things in terms of the game in question. I appreciate that it's been ported to the PC. The thing is that when you're asking me to pay $9 for a game which is technically the same, yes, improved graphics, I understand that, better resolutions, I get that. To me, that's not enough, and in particular, you have to always take advantage of the platform in question. Technically, the game has some good elements to it. I do like the randomization of cards. It does feel like it's going to have variety over time. But when it comes down to it, the idea here is that I'm paying for a game 3 times the amount with not that much different from it. And in particular, no use of keyboard controls, no real good options, broken options, bugs. I can't recommend it. That's the problem. Technically, if you're looking for a game and are willing to pay more for the PC for better graphical quality, then by all means, Card Dungeon can work for you. Even with some of the elements that I'm not so fond of, with like the card progression system in terms of the degradation of the card. But honestly, in the end, it's not worth the PC's price. Now, if it drops to the price of what the mobile game is, I'd be more than willing to recommend it. But just right now, at its current price, I can't recommend it, guys. If this is Dragnix signing out, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. If you like this review and this Let's Try, again, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. If you did like the Steam review that you might have seen, give that a yes or a no, depending on whether or not you liked it or not. And I will see you all later. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this content and want to see more of it, you may want to hit that subscribe button on the left-hand side. If you like this video and want to see more of this content, take a look at this video on the left-hand side as well. And if you missed my last video, take a look at the right-hand side. Once again, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.